My main media, my only media, is watercolor. And I've been a watercolorist since I started painting over 30 years. What drew me in, they say that watercolor is the first thing artists do and maybe the last. Inspiration and subject matter are difficult at times, and if I have blocks ever, it's finding things I want to paint. I need things that move, I need single subjects that can transform into large, full-scale watercolors. We hung the largest watercolor in the world in Austin, Texas this past year, 5 feet by 10 feet. So we are going big. This painting, 36 by 80, that's pretty much unheard of in the watercolor world. So when I'm painting, the process is really planning ahead of what's going to mix, what the temperature of the water is, what the temperature of the air is, how quickly I have to work to create it. So if we look at the horse herd, there's a slight pencil sketch. Imagine it all white, a very light pencil sketch. And we're starting in this corner with just plain water. And then we're coming in with a little bit of color, and then adding 2 colors to create the turquoise. We're adding a third color for the purple, and then we're flowing into 2 different browns. And I'm looking for a spot to stop because I have to start working both places and keeping the edges wet. So I'm going to stop at the edge of the hoof because I can come back and I'll keep this really wet, and then I'll come up and slowly work through the top. At the same time, I'm coming in and out of the mane. So, and anything you see in this piece, short of the dust, that's white, is the negative space, and that is the paper itself. So you've got to plan what you're going to leave white to draw your eye and to move you through the piece, because I really need you to enter the painting at one spot, hopefully see the whole painting, then exit the painting at another spot, and you've seen the entire work. This piece specifically creates a challenge of taking something very small and making it very, very big. And that's where the impressionistic fun comes in. Background's fairly simple, one color to create that leathery feel, but your eye is focused in on the butterfly. And where's the white going to be left to really lead your eye? But the wings are where it's at. What allows this watercolor and all of my watercolors to be the size they are is the issue of protection. When you paint a watercolor, they're fairly fragile. They have trouble in direct sunlight, they have trouble in indirect light, they have trouble with dust, if you just leave them, you can't. You have to protect them. What we've done over some trial and error and 3 or 4 years of experimentation was we've taken the watercolor, and once it's done, we hand tear the edges, turn it upside down with an archival glue. It gets put on like wallpaper. We flip it back over, find the middle. We have a few minutes to move it, get it centered, and then plexiglass goes on top and lots of weight for 24 hours. All that gets removed, the watercolor's flat and smooth. You then take an archival beeswax resin, looks like car wax, goes on like car wax, and guarantee is from the company 200 years. I have a limited palette, so I'm working with 6 or 7 colors, and there was a day I said, what would happen if I put them all together, and then how could I create that into a single piece? And that resulted in the background of taking every color that I use and putting them in, and fascinating the use of the negative through the tail, the white, because that's the paper. I can't paint white, but it's so important in this piece to pull that through. And then the toughest decision is, how do I set this colorful parrot apart from everything else? And that's right there. with that little touch of a color I never use unless I'm doing dragonfly eyes or the top of a parrot, which is a little of that emerald green, just enough, because that's where your eye goes.